You got everything except some liquor on there. That's what's really gonna make them knock that out.
Huh?
Yeah. You drink, knock that thing out.
Let's see. You good, Rich?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
cool.
probably have to turn that some. Or even come closer. But don't get nervous because I said you can come closer.
Here, you take this one. I'll see that little one right there. It's gonna be
Yeah.
It'll be playing in the back pretty much anyway.
Rich gonna have to slide over this one.
This is number 3. All right, if you could, sir, talking to
Testing.
Okay.
1, 2.
And you will.
Testing.
One more time.
Testing.
There you go. And Miss Queen.
Testing.
A little louder.
Testing.
Is it better to keep these on?
Yeah, those are still mega. Okay, it's 7:05. Oh boy. All right, let me go ahead and put our intro in. Get that theme music running.
Get that theme music going.
Every superhero needs some theme music. I'm smelling a men's takeover today, is what I'm thinking.
Ain't nobody scared of you, jokers.
Well, see, you need to think about that, because I'm telling you right now, I ain't scared of you.
You've been holding some stuff in.
Speak up, can't hear you.
See? All right.
Look, Jackie told me shut up, but when she here, I shut up. But when she gone, I start talking again.
See? There y'all go. Y'all starting already.
Damn right.
I'll take that. Is this going to poke you in the eye?
Who's that?
Some old nasty talking.
You hear that too?
Ooh, I thought we was trying to clean up our show.
She's so nasty, but I love it.
I knew you would. There's always one.
You never heard it?
No, who's that?
Me.
That's you?
Jesus,
See?
Lord.
Okay, I hear the voice now. Spoken word, okay.
This was, he did the music.
Hmm.
He did the music.
You good.
See? I get excited every time I hear it.
That's because you're nasty.
Just a little bit.
I did something like that as a promo one time. And I don't even know what they did with the recording, man.
Oh,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are on.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Intimacy Chronicles. I am your host, Queen Jackie. To my left.
Richard, a.k.a. Quiet Storm. Hello,
Why you act
everybody.
like you didn't know who you was?
I didn't know which side was your left. I thought it was your other left.
Well,
Yeah, because I was a little confused.
you was a little confused. Okay. And over in the far left corner,
Oh, that's the Mr. Sensational.
Mr.
Up in there right now,
Sensational.
about to take advantage.
Oh, gosh. And joining me on my right,
It's just Mike.
so that's our special guest tonight.
Big Mike.
And
Not just Mike, damn it.
Big Mike.
hi, Tamia. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining. Tonight's topic is going to be interesting. We're going to talk, it's 2 different topics. I'm outnumbered as usual, and I'm kind of under the weather, so the guys are going to take advantage of me today. But our first topic is a pretty interesting one, and it's about us living in the technology age. And what I notice when I'm out, everybody's holding their phone. It could be a group of people, it could be, somebody on a date, and everybody has their phone in their hands. And I'm just wondering, how much of a good time are you having if everybody at the table is holding their phones? And have we become that disconnected as a society that we're unable to effectively communicate with each other without the devices? My understanding is relationships get started online or through text, and a lot of times that's how people communicate. I think that it's hard to build a solid foundation when everything is communicated through text. Now, before we really dig into that, I actually have something. It's not related to that, but I had gotten a poem sent to me, and the author is named Tit. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It should be interesting. It's definitely, I like how it starts off as kind of sensual. It builds up to it. I know a lot of you guys, y'all just like to get cut to the chase. Y'all don't want to hear all the talk. But I like the build up of this. So I'm going to be brief in reading just some of it. And it starts off, I see the entrance to the restaurant and stop. I catch my breath and try to control the nervous anticipation in my stomach. You and I haven't seen each other in almost 20 years, and it's hard to contain my excitement. I push open the door and am relieved to feel the coolness of the air conditioner on my face. It takes a moment for my eyes to adjust, but once they do, I immediately spot you sitting at a table in the back corner of the room. You smile at me. I make my way to you, and I can feel every muscle in my stomach contract. 20 years and my desire for you is so strong to feel you, to taste you, to hold you, look into your eyes. Now that's, I thought that was really good. There's so much more to it, but I'm just going to stop with that. And then I'm going to get into our topic. So, what do y'all think of handheld devices and people being so addicted to communicating that way?
It's wonderful.
Really? Why?
Yes. Because you can talk to multiple people at one time.
Is that what you're saying you do?
See?
I mean, I'm saying you walked into it.
I have. Look,
Yeah.
I keep it 100 right here.
So, are you saying you can have multiple relationships by doing that?
You can have multiple conversations.
You can have multiple conversations. If you are in a relationship with someone, is that the best way to communicate?
If you're in a relationship, the best way to communicate is the best way the person receives it.
Okay.
That's a good point.
That's a great point. But wouldn't you say that sometimes a text could be misconstrued?
If you are not concise in your words. Personally, I prefer
The text?
a text sometimes.
Okay.
Because, one, I like to memorialize the facts of my conversation and my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you can read that again,
Mm-hmm.
because it gives you a clear message.
Yeah.
Sometimes some people, I'm one of those people, I can speak all day if necessary.
Right.
But I like to write it down, more or less. I can be Shakespeare on a text because I have
Okay.
more time to collect my thoughts.
Okay. I can see that.
So, some things might come off misunderstood, but when you take the time to write that down,
Mm-hmm.
then there's more of a chance, as far as I believe, that you can get your point across because you think
Okay.
before you hit that send button.
Okay.
That regulates that immediate response that might not
Right.
shouldn't have come out, because you can't unring that bell when you say something off the cuff.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a pretty good point. I didn't think of it like that. Now, initially, when you're starting a relationship, is that how you do it, or you are having a phone conversation, or how do you start a relationship?
I don't think there's any hard and fast rules to that. It depends on how you meet that person.
Okay.
You know.
So if you met them online, is texting going to be the predominantly the way you communicate?
I met someone online years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got a random email.
Okay.
It's like, hey, I'm moving into the area, and you know, I'm looking around, and I like your picture. We had a conversation online for some time. It did go to the phone
Okay.
at some point, but you know, the conversations through the internet and on the text were good.
Okay.
You know, they were. I think our conversations were well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, sir.
Was it a situation where that initial conversation, because I know, you know, years ago or back in the day, I would say, it was email and then it became chat rooms and stuff. So was it did it start off as emails back and forth and then it evolved into like something that's more quick or something that's more immediate, like a chat room or?
It was email, instant message, something,
Gotcha.
one of the two, I believe, because again, it was initial contact.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, I didn't have her number, she didn't have mine. It was just a, hey, how are you? Then, you know, at some point it was like, hey, let's exchange numbers. And of course, you know, once you have the number,
You call. Yeah.
you call. But, you know, we're in a lifestyle now where we're working different shifts.
Okay.
You know, everyone is hustling and grinding and working 2 jobs sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's not convenient to make a phone call.
Okay.
You know, I work in an environment where there's noise a lot,
That's true.
and I can't call.
Right.
You know, but I can at least make that contact and say,
Mhm.
hey, you know, how are you? You know, what's going on? Just dropping a line, see how you're
Okay.
doing. So it's convenient for that.
Okay. That's a good point. What's your take on it?
For me, I guess as long as I know the person, but if it's somebody new, that I've experienced it and it wasn't something that I was good with, because I realized we don't all take texts the same way.
Yeah.
So the communication was so broken down that I was just like, did that come out right?
Yeah.
Was that good enough? Or I said everything. I thought I said everything right, and it took so long. Then you waiting. You like, oh, like are we going to talk to each other, or are we just going to keep? Because I'm not good at that. I was in a relationship. I was married. I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep doing this because this right here, I got a lot more to say. And then that we doing this, it's like, for real, I don't like that. I'm old.
So the words couldn't keep up with your thoughts.
Which
Right.
is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that happens with me a lot. I think that after a while, I'm annoyed with texting. And I'm like, God damn it, look, can we talk? Because I'm like him, you know, I have so much to say and I can't type that fast via text. So I need to have a phone conversation.
All right, so Jackie, you old school, right? So
I am old school.
were you a letter writer? You used to write letters?
I can write letters.
Did you used
yeah.
to write letters back and forth to your boyfriend? Or
I wrote poetry.
wrote poetry?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wrote poetry.
Did you mail the letter to them? And
Sometimes hand delivered, sometimes
Yeah,
mail.
okay.
Yeah, I'm a writer, but not when it comes to text messaging. You know, I feel like I have so much to say, and I can't get it all across via text. So it becomes frustrating for me, and I get annoyed. Like, look, damn it, I need to talk. So.
I think it depends on the context because, like if you meet them in an online situation, okay, that's the initial
I
contact.
think it's
Yeah.
different, yeah.
And then after it evolves, I'm looking at it like this. I'm looking at it like I'm gonna contact you via text on my phone when we could talk, and I'm gonna send you poetry during the day. You know, for when you pull up. So when you pull up when you do look at that text, you'll see my random thought for that particular day.
Yeah.
You know, whenever it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
So it depends on the vehicle, but you made a really good point because when you guys said that text can be interpreted in different ways.
Yeah.
And that comes to place when you arguing.
Right.
via text. Because I've been in situations where I was going back and forth arguing on via text. I'm like, you know what? We're going to talk about this when we get home.
Okay.
You know, or something like that. Or when I see you. Because you do misconstrue some certain things, and that may not be the spirit of what you're trying to say.
Right.
You know?
I think too, nowadays, I mean, we have the emojis, I guess, to...
Oh, I can't. I haven't figured that out.
I can, but sometimes I can, and I think you brought up a very interesting point about, like, in your case, if you sent a poem, you can go back through that. It's something that you can read to put a smile on your face. However, if it's a long, drawn out conversation, I can't continue via text. I'm not able to do that. I'm old school. I'm just going to say that. Hi, Vanita. How are you? But
Hey, Vanita.
I think when you're talking about like the younger generation, I think that's how they start a lot of relationships via text.
Having said that, I think a lot of the younger generation, they don't have the social skills to actually hold a serious conversation in person.
But the phone makes it worse too, because how can you build that if everything is communicated via text?
I'm gonna give my young people some credit. I don't think it's necessarily social skills. In some cases, there's some cases people in our generation don't have social skills.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they're in your face every day, and they can't put a subject and a predicate together.
Right.
But
That's true.
That's true, but I literally see a lot of guys that really don't know how to approach a woman. Completely. It's just like, let me get your number.
But that's always been the case.
Right, and so it provides the security of not being rejected in person.
Maybe.
For a
What'd you
lot
say?
of it, because
Yeah.
a lot of DMs and stuff like that, it's like, okay, I don't feel that. I can just go with somebody else and
See,
do
there
that.
goes that multiple thing. It's
I
the
guess
buckshot
I
theory.
can
It's
see
like,
that. Yeah, well, if this one says no, I can move on to the next.
we say you shoot enough buckshot, you bound a bag of birds.
But that's why I asked what did you used to write, because I think with this generation now, it's instant. Everything is instant.
Yeah.
Email.
Right.
You don't have to post a letter. Because I remember my mom and my aunt used to write letters from Maryland to England, and they would have to wait 2 weeks before they respond.
Get a response.
Back.
Exactly.
But now it's like you got WhatsApp, you got Instagram. I turned her on to different links where she can call and contact them right away.
Right.
And now so I think more so the convenience of the text message and convenience of these handheld devices, goes with the millennials where everything is instant.
Yeah.
But I really think that, because I thought about it and I was thinking about that because I'm looking at my kids, always got the handheld device and I'm worried about that. But I think you can embrace it and you can make it work.
Right.
Especially with like I said, you could carry on a romantic relationship with it via text, because what it shows is like, okay, let me text you, I love you, or something like that.
Is it solid though? Is the relationship itself
only
solid?
Only to supplement.
Okay.
You can't. I don't think you could base your relationship on text messages,
right,
or chat rooms,
or
or anything
can you?
like that. Or
Can you? I mean,
I'm
again, it depends on the communication preference of that person.
Okay.
I mean, do you have to have a conversation in person? What
think
what
I'm
about
old.
people that
I feel like I'm really outdated because I can text, but after a while, I really need to connect other than text.
Yeah, but it's a step. It's a stepping stone. It's not.
That's true.
It's not the end all.
Yeah, that's
what I mean?
true.
It
Okay.
supplements the foundation that you got in your relationship.
Right.
It supplements it.
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? So it depends. If now it's a different conversation if people are kids or cats or whoever using that instead of talking. Now that's a little different.
Right, and that's what I mean.
But,
where is the line drawn? I mean, for some people that is probably their main way of communicating.
I wonder. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is now, because being that I've dated younger, and I was like, you don't talk on the phone? She was like, not really. She was like, I run out of stuff to talk about. And I was like,
Wow. Yeah.
yo, what's wrong with you? You know, and then it's like alcohol and stuff. It's things that you need in order to talk about things, in order for you to be who you are. And I was like, you just rather just do this and not have a regular conversation and you be good. But then when you're around me, you need to have something to boost you to have this conversation because it's things that you can't relay. And you like, this is different from
But you know, that's interesting.
That's-
too. Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't want to interview you, but
right.
do you
Well, that's what he here for,
at this
shit.
at this point, okay, in your life, do you text more than you talk on the phone?
Well, I have kids, and when they don't answer the phone, I have to text them.
Okay.
But a lot of people, yeah, for the most part, you do text, but
because I think I do too.
Yeah.
I think I text more than I talk.
when they come to my
Absolutely.
kids, I be like, I gotta talk.
You say you do?
Absolutely. I can't. I'm not a big phone person.
Yeah.
You know, I've never been, you know, sit on the phone and, you know, what
Yeah.
you doing, what you doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't me to, like, let's watch the TV.
But you gonna text somebody?
So I guess the
WID.
text is
Right.
better for some. I mean, I text. I would probably
Right?
say I text
Yeah.
more. But see,
Right?
there
But
you
see,
go.
you know what, though? But see, the text, I will text before I call.
Okay.
Because a text is less intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right,
have the
right,
option of
right.
answering. Now, especially, I don't know, you know, what you're doing at the time, who you're with at the time.
That's true.
You might be doing something that, you know,
That you don't want to know about.
this is possible.
Exactly.
Right.
But then you get mad when you don't respond because that's another dynamic.
That's another question I was going to ask. What is the reasonable response time for a text?
It depends on what you're talking about, I guess. I mean, if it's a contact.
I mean, I'm asking because I am outdated. So I want
I
to
don't
know,
know.
is there a time frame or...
There probably is,
Okay.
but I don't know it.
Let's say this.
Okay.
I'm horrible with returning. Cause
Okay. Beginning stage
Yes,
of
I
relationship.
know this.
Beginning
Okay,
stages of
I'm just
relationship,
saying.
yeah. Let's talk when you first initial meet a girl and y'all exchange information and you text her.
Mm-hmm.
And how long before you kind of feel a certain ways before she responds back?
I guess after a day or so, you're thinking it might be.
Okay, so it's a day.
And I'm thinking quicker. Than
I'm
that.
guessing.
I'm thinking that
I-
because I think
Let me wait all
yeah, I'm probably gonna say for me if I was dating and I sent someone a text message and after 3 hours I don't get a response, like I'd probably be like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
you know? But then, like I say, I'm outdated.
But see, that's that same thing about when I come home and we got something to talk about.
Oh man, you still on that?
See, that's you.
I'm
It's you.
I'm gonna ask you because you're dating. You've been in a relationship
But
for a
I'm
long
gonna say it
time.
now because we're in a different age where people go to work and no matter where they at in their life, they got their phone in their hand. So
Exactly.
it shouldn't take you longer than an hour to respond
Exactly.
because you always looking at your phone. Sometimes you looking at Facebook and you like, you at work. I don't even know, not a person in your relationship, but just regular people. And you like,
Exactly.
you got time to be on Facebook, but you know, you like, damn, who got that kind of time
But
all
you know,
day?
and that's the first charge that annoys the blue hell out of me.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, because I get you were on Facebook, but you couldn't hit me back. No, my phone was sitting in the car, and it says I'm on Facebook.
Oh no,
But I'm not in- I'm not on
different.
Facebook.
I'm
No,
talking
we
But
about-
talking-
I
we talking
always
about when you
hear
post
people
Post something,
say,
yeah, but
right,
you
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
See, people look there and see that you're online in your phone and think
Oh,
that
no,
you're
Talks about
active.
the
that's a
inbox.
little too weird
But
right
if
there.
somebody posts a picture and you sent a text, and all of a sudden they're posting on Facebook, because my son does this, and I'm like, I just sent him a message.
But you know, they're also
Yeah.
depending on your service sometimes. Like I've had texts that
Oh,
haven't come
really,
through.
Mark?
No, I'm gonna be 100%. I've had texts that have not come through for 6 or 7 hours.
Who
You
you
know,
with?
This is Boost.
Okay.
It hasn't happened recently, but it has
Well, I
happened.
have heard that.
You know, so you can be in an area where you don't get good reception.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll get internet, but you won't get the text or something like that.
Right.
So it depends.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, the other thing is people will say like, you're at work, but we don't all have the same job. When I'm working, on a other job, you can't have phones out on the floor.
Okay.
You can't do it. You know, you're working in machinery and whatnot. Like, you can't have a cell phone.
Right. Okay.
So it's going to be hours at a time where you're not going to hear from you.
But that still comes to the communication. Once I get online and say, babe, my bad. I couldn't. This is the first time I was able to see your text or respond to your text. Appreciate your message or whatever. You know, it's just communicate.
Yeah.
You know, just say what you got to say. But I think, like I said, there's two different conversations here because I'm thinking, I'm all for texting, sending love notes, sweet nothings to supplement.
Right.
You know, not in place.
Not right.
You
Yeah.
know, like I said, I want to hear your voice too. I want to see you, and then kind of, when I can't see you, I'm going to FaceTime you. I'm going to do this.
Right.
That's
Right.
another
Right.
thing. I mean, if you can't, I guess you can FaceTime, you can Skype. There's other ways of communicating, but I would say mostly people communicate via text.
Yeah. I think because when you brought up the subject, I thought about it and I said, you know what, I do text more than I talk. Cause
Yeah.
usually I'm talking to close something or to say, okay, you know, when I'm driving, but, you know, I'm guilty. I do text.
Now, I will say, because sometimes I'm really funny acting, so if I'm texting somebody, isn't that hard to believe?
Impossible.
And they call me.
Mhm.
I get so goddamn annoyed
I ain't finished my
because
text.
I'm like, why are you calling? You know, I mean, I don't want to talk. That's why I'm texting.
Right.
So, but once I see that call, you know, I'm sitting there like, do I want to answer? Well, I just sent the text, so I guess I got to answer. You know what I'm saying? So don't act like I'm the only one, because I know y'all do
But
that
see,
too.
there's rules to that. You can't prefer a conversation when you want to have conversation.
But I am like that. I will be honest. I want to have a conversation when I want to have it. Does that make me selfish?
You be
Make
texting
you
and then when
Yes, it
look,
does.
and then when they call, she declining the call. She's
Right.
Like,
I
ain't
don't
finished my text."
decline it. I sit
Oh, the
there
text be like, I
for
don't
maybe
want to
4 or
talk.
5
You need to
rings,
call
still
me.
determining if I'm going to answer it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I've done him like that. And he'll leave me a message. I know you're sitting right there looking at the phone.
Texting as a weapon.
Well, I'm just saying.
But again, like I said, the whole process is intrusive. You know,
It-
'Cause you know when somebody's online. You know, like you text them and you don't get a response, and you see them posting.
Especially if you're
social
on
media.
an app like WhatsApp, because my brother lives in Florida, and sometimes I'll communicate with him, and he might not respond, but it says last seen at such and such time, and I'm like, really, man, you was just on here. So yeah.
But see, you know what? That brings up a whole nother issue there too, because now, again, it's like you saw that he looked at, but you don't know what he's doing.
It's,
Right.
Yeah,
So
but
now you're instantly getting in your
I'm
feelings.
annoyed. Yeah,
You know,
exactly. I'm very much
somebody
annoyed.
emergency might have come up. Anything you can't take that. And see, if,
That is the downside. Yeah.
you know, I'm not going. If I text, I'm not going to go look on Facebook and see if they're posting or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
I think that you're not
people do, a lot of
necessarily
people do.
looking. You could be on there and all of a sudden you see something, you know, post. It doesn't mean that you're looking, but like I scroll through my Facebook a lot of times and I'll see something and be like, oh, okay. I think I've done that to you a couple of times and I'm like, what the hell, he ain't answer. So yeah.
See, that's that phone thing. That was a big thing I've had before. I'm like, look, if you look for something you're going to be angry about with the phone and the whole text and the technology thing, you're going to find something that's going to make you mad. So
I guess
just
that's true.
don't set yourself up
Right.
Yeah, I guess that's
for
true.
that, because we can always misconstrue something.
Right.
Well, you know what? You need to post the 10 Commandments of texting.
Of texting,
Yes,
because
indeed.
you seem to be the expert.
Yeah, because
So
you
you
dropping
really
some real
need to
knowledge
post
about
something
this.
or send me something so I can post the 10 Commandments of texting.
Texting
You
in a
know,
relationship.
There are rules
Because,
to
I
this,
mean,
I'm
you
sure.
educated me on some things. I mean, Mike, you and I have had many conversations, especially since you were with the, you know, the younger person, and it was a reality check
Hell
for
yeah.
you because you didn't realize how text messaging was a big deal. So,
But you know, that was interesting too when you said that, because that also goes into that person. A lot of people have social anxieties.
Yeah, they do. And that's one. She has anxiety.
That-
So
right.
on top of it, so it's like
So
she
that
has-
is a method
Now
of her
that
and
makes
work
sense.
through
And when
that.
you
Yeah.
start thinking, you like, damn,
You know,
you kind of, but it's scary though because you like you can't. Ooh,
But you know, it's a real thing. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people that, you know, they have that anxiety. It's like, well, I wanted to go someplace, but I can't get out of the car. Or I don't
Yeah.
want to go in. And that's a little better way for them to communicate and still be social to some certain extent.
Okay, and does that fall into that? Do you like me? Yes, no, or maybe kind of thing.
It can. It
Yeah,
can.
I mean, it's
definitely
funny, but
Uh,
it just took me back to that because if you send somebody, I mean, that was elementary, but I guess the text, in a sense, is the same because if you are rejected, you're not face to face
Right.
Yeah.
with that person. So
It's secure.
I think
But you're-
now, right? So it kind of makes sense more to me now. I mean, even though I said in my day we just did yes or no, but I can see it now, especially for somebody in her case with social anxiety. Nobody wants to be rejected, and if you can do it in a way where you're not face to face with somebody, I guess it makes it a little easier.
but I
I
would-
guess for you it was different because you are old school too.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Why we can't have dialogue? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, that shit is not. Something's wrong here.
But you gotta realize we're talkers.
Yeah.
Not everybody is.
But
So-
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. For me, it was like, oh, okay, I can already see the dynamic beyond the age. I was like,
Yeah.
there's other things, you know, and I was like, yeah, this we gonna have a little fun, but that's it. I already see this. This ain't even. Nah.
But I don't think it's an age thing. I mean, because I've seen like
Older.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like you know, I got a couple friends, right? He who's out there in the dating world, and I got plenty of stories. You know, like it was one person. Like I'm gonna tell you, Monday, she texted him, "WID, what you doing?" Right? He didn't see the text. Then a couple hours later, she texted something else, and as it went on, you know, because something would happen to his phone or something like that. So he didn't have his phone for like a couple of days.
Something would happen.
Something happened, and then when all the texts came in, it went from "what you doing?" "Oh, I see why you acting funny," to by Wednesday it was like, "Have a nice life."
And
You
and
know?
there again
You
is
know?
what I'm saying. I mean,
benefit
is
of the
there a response time? Because
Yeah.
in that, you know, she began to feel ignored.
Yeah, but
So-
she didn't call him. You know, the whole time through this, she
Well,
didn't
if
pick up
he
the phone.
wasn't responding to a text, what was the likelihood that he would respond to a phone call?
Well, okay, this is what I'm thinking. If you ain't responsive, and like I said, this ain't the beginning of a relationship. Y'all have
Okay.
history.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you know the spirit. You know about
Right,
that
right,
person,
right.
right? So, and you know that person's there for you all the time, and it's like, okay, maybe something happened. You know,
Okay.
why would you think he ignoring you before you think something might have happened?
Right.
Right, yeah.
But that's when he brought up social anxiety. I didn't
Right.
think about that. That's a new one for me. Yeah, people anxious and they have these issues that they
Yeah,
bring
it makes
into
it
these,
a bit difficult.
these
And
relationships.
I guess too, I would probably say more women probably get into their feelings at the lack of response. Or do men also have that same issue? I'm gonna ask you.
For lack of response.
From a text, if you said like in that case, was
No, because the realization was, it would be times where I didn't even know I was text.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, 'cause you
and
don't
that's the whole
understand.
thing.
Okay.
You doing so much. Sometimes you don't even notice your phone going off, and you just like, dang. Now they probably thinking I ain't even really paying them no mind or something, but it ain't even that. It's just I ain't know.
But that's
Okay.
to me that's the purpose of a text is I'm gonna text you and whenever you can see it.
Yeah,
see it.
right.
You know, other than that, I'll call you. But that's the way it should work.
It
but
should,
but
right.
when you're using text messages as your primary means of communication, that's
which
where,
I think a
that's
lot of
where-
people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get in trouble.
You're
Yeah.
susceptible to getting into your feelings because you're looking for an immediate response, but it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, and I'm gonna stand on this. I still say, embrace it because that's what it
That's
is.
where we are
I mean, you don't have a
now.
choice.
And,
It's where we are.
You can make it work.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
could definitely, you know, you can do all those things that,
Yeah.
you know.
And
that
people
you
are
can feel
communicating through email, and you get your emails through your phone. So that's the direction we're headed into. So I check my emails all the time.
But when I thought about the subject, I thought about my kids, where
Mhm.
they're so connected to their electronics. We were at Cheesecake Factory one time, and it, you know what, and it started out where, you know, especially my two younger ones,
Mhm.
I let them play on the phone to keep them quiet when they were, you know, kids, and now it's like, okay, they can't go nowhere without their phone, you know, and even my little boy, he's 9 years old, he got the iPad and he needs that, and we're sitting at the Cheesecake Factory and everybody got their phones, and we're like sitting there waiting for the appetizers, and everyone's like.
And I
then
look at that a
and
lot
I looked
of
around
times.
the restaurant,
Yeah.
and
everybody's the same thing. Yeah.
It was like,
You know,
And
that's a
remember
problem.
when we were at Corinthians, I mean, I saw quite a few people, you know, with their phones. I mean, even though some of them were videoing you, still at the tables, I seen people having a good time, but still looking at their phones.
Yeah.
So
That tells me that there are a lot of people with social anxieties.
yeah,
It's like you cannot be present and in the moment.
that's my
if you're on your
point. It's
phone.
like, how can you say I'm having a great time, and the whole time you're holding your phone?
Because if you don't post it, it never happened.
Exactly, and that's the problem with the Instagram and everything else. People are showing the lives that they don't have.
They want to document everything. I'm doing this to make it seem like they have an exciting life.
Yes,
in a
they're
sense.
proving that they're enjoying the lives that they really
Right.
don't have.
Okay.
You know, it's like, who cares? You know?
But when you have apps like that, they promote this. You know, where put all your memories on Facebook or Instagram. So I guess that person that may not be as popular may seem to have a very interesting life.
Or they lie a lot. You know,
Well,
there's
they're in the
people
vicinity.
doing the Bow Wow challenge and whatnot.
It ain't winning like that though.
Yeah, I mean.
But you know, it's like, because I thought about that. Occasionally, for friends and family, I'll throw
I
events
mean, we
and
all
things
do
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
But more and more, I've seen that I don't really want to do that.
Mhm.
You know, it's like I don't feel the need to document my actions for a bunch of people that I'll probably never see.
Okay.
You know,
That's
it's just a little weird. You know, people are so quick to put all their personal business.
Right.
You know, there was a time when you kept things in the house.
That's true.
You know, the stuff stays in the family, stays in the house.
That's true.
You know, people are putting out their relationships and, all these other things. It's like, you know what? You're never going to succeed with that if you keep putting everything trial by jury and a judgment of 3,000 people that you're really not friends with.
I think the thing with relationships, I know people that they're going with somebody right now. You see all these pictures of them and that person. Maybe a month later, they're not together. Then the next month, they post the new person.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had this conversation with my son. And he said, Ma, I did something, I never would do. He said, you always told me don't post my relationship. I said, yeah. If you don't know what direction it's going into and then you post and then y'all not together, everybody's looking, well, what happened? You know what I'm saying? I think that even in my own relationship, like, I don't post stuff about what's going on with that because I don't think that I have to. I'll post family pictures and stuff like that. But it's rare you'll see me post pictures of, my spouse.
Right.
I'm just not going to do it.
And see, that's an older school thing where it's like, there was a time where, you'd know somebody for years,
Yeah.
especially with the guys, and you wouldn't meet their woman.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like, I know you have one, but,
Right.
It's like, that's my personal life.
Exactly.
And we keep that separate.
And that's the thing. People don't. I think people are so
Different
eager to
circles.
show that they're with someone and they post it. I don't feel like I have to do that because I don't feel like I need, social media's validation on my relationship.
Exactly.
And if we're having problems, social media will definitely not know it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just me, and it's, everybody has their own preference, but I don't think that you have to seek approval where your relationship is concerned.
Social media will kill your relationship.
Oh my God, yes.
Well, let's that's a good topic to segue into. Mate, have you heard of breaking up through text?
Well, that all ties into our text. Let me see if I got
Dear
any
John
comments.
electronically.
Hi, Maggie. Hey, Arnetta. Arnetta says her and Sean was just talking about the Insta ships.
Insta ships, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Because, that's what people do. They promote their new guy or new girl, and then maybe a few weeks later, there's no talk about that person. It's that Insta ship. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do y'all think about that?
I think it's sad. I mean, how empty is your relationship if
You have to post
to
and get approval.
look for the approval
Yeah.
of strangers? It's supposed to be a one-on-one thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have it now where it's like, all right, where everything has to go to the jury of our peers, so to speak.
Yeah, let me ask Facebook.
Now the outside,
Yeah.
when you bring outside things into a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
it's a wrap.
It's a
Yeah.
wrap, exactly.
Because everybody is not in your favor.
That's,
Everybody doesn't want to see you do well, and I really
Yeah.
don't care what everyone else thinks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have to deal with that one person.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I don't want 100 opinions, a bunch of likes, a bunch of
Right,
smiley faces. It's like,
exactly.
if it's something good, that's fine. But when it gets to relationships, family issues, things like that,
It shouldn't be aired.
no. not at all.
I think that everything isn't everybody's business, and it's social media, but have we taken social media out of context?
Then there's a question there. What is that line and conversation and understanding that a couple should have in regards to social media?
Right.
Yeah. Well, look at it this way. Like I said, I think we, we're more mature and more established.
Yeah.
But what we're missing is the perspective of the younger generation who would meet their man offline and meet their girl online and through Facebook or through Instagram, and they're perfectly comfortable, posting
Airing.
each other.
Yeah.
And I've seen Facebook posts where actually she was my age, and she posted something about her ex, and it was like a long drawn out thing, and he was going back and forth, and I'm sitting there like, okay, I know the both of them, and I'm thinking about, if they break up, who gonna get custody of me?
Oh my God! You petty! You petty! Oh my God!
It's like but it was so unnecessary. They putting things out there, and I'm like, because when people get emotional, you have to think about, what is the end game? What am I
It's
trying to do?
no holds barred when there's emotion. Yeah.
Then you have, again, people picking sides.
Mm-hmm.
These people that you were cool with,
Yeah.
because you know them through that other person.
Right.
All of a sudden, they're like, he ain't about this, or she ain't no good, all that other stuff. And you're like, oh, really? So,
And I'm
that's how
always
you feel.
neutral when it's things like that, because it doesn't affect me. When my buddy and his girlfriend broke up, he felt like my loyalty should have been to him. But I'm the type of person, I treat people how they treat me. So if you didn't want me to develop a relationship with your girlfriend, then you shouldn't have brought her around. So her and I became really good friends long after they broke up. And the next time he dated somebody, I became good friends with that girlfriend. And we're still friends. And he'd say, you still don't understand that when the relationship is over, I'm taking my ball and I'm leaving. So I guess I'm supposed to be the ball. So,
Oh, yeah.
but I develop relationships with people based on how they treat me. I don't have anything to do with y'all breaking up. That was between y'all two. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm supposed to sever ties because y'all break up, my suggestion is do not introduce me to anyone.
See, now there goes the question of relationship and social acquaintance.
Okay?
Now, there's a difference. If you are socially connected on social media, that doesn't always mean that you're friends.
I agree.
You know, it's, you know them, you say hi, okay, you're friends on Facebook.
And that's it.
That's it.
Right.
And see, a lot of
I
people
agree with
misconstrue that
Yeah,
and think,
I
oh, well,
agree.
we're friends. Like, no,
Yeah.
I know you because of that person. That's it. We've never hung out.
And I agree 100%
I don't know where you live.
with you. Yeah.
I don't even know your last name. I just know your Facebook name. That type of stuff. And a lot of people get that they blur the lines. Like,
I agree.
Like, you're not going to agree with me? Like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. And the people do get it twisted like that. And those scenarios, like, we were actually friends. But if I'm friends on Facebook with you, it doesn't mean that in the midst of y'all turmoil that we can go hang out.
Right.
And I think that people do get the lines blurred. We're not best friends. With these ladies, I really was their friend. So I didn't take sides in their relationships. I listened to both sides. Even though he was like one of my best friends, still I'd already established a relationship with these two women. So while I'm sympathetic to both parties, I will not say, well, I think you should do this and I think you should do that, because it's not my relationship.
Right.
And I'm neutral. That's between y'all. As long as those ladies didn't do anything to me and we can still maintain a friendship, that's the kind of person I am. I'm like, if you don't want me to meet them or have a relationship with them, then don't bring them around me. I say that all the time. And you don't bring people.
Nah. Because I don't know how long they here for.
Yeah, and let me tell y'all a
Exactly.
funny story. He took me out to breakfast one time with some girl. Soon as I get in the car, you know what he says? Listen, my sister's an asshole. Don't try to get to know her because she's not going to like you anyway. I felt so terrible. And if it was me, I would have said, oh, look, let me get out right here, because I thought that was a terrible thing to say. I mean, I am. But damn, don't put me on blast like that.
Though.
Huh?
She wanted that.
She wanted that IHOP, so she went anyway. But I was like, damn, did he say that? Yeah.
I figure I'd rather be honest with people than
But you could have
No,
warned me or something. He just put me like right.
I wanted you to see how honest I really was. Like, I ain't.
Yeah. He told her that, and she was like, okay.
I mean, sometimes you need to bring that honesty to the situation.
I mean, really, that was before breakfast. I hadn't had coffee.
That's all right,
So-
though. You still you ain't even really talk to her anyway.
Because I'm an asshole. So he said the truth, but he didn't have to say it. I mean, he didn't have to put it out there, Damn.
It was like we were just talking.
It's a heads up.
She was
I mean,
there.
I think, hey.
Yeah. We was talking like she wasn't there.
That's terrible.
That's the kind of stuff that he does, though. My other brother, when he was dating, if he, bought somebody to meet me, and he would say, oh yeah, tell him you heard so much about. And I was like, I'm not doing all that shit.
But he got that from.
Yeah, he got that from my father, who I always use as an example.
Right.
So,
that's an interesting thing too. It's like when we're talking about this whole hierarchical thing on social media relationships. Now, what is the median point when you have one person that is a social media addict and the other one who prefers not to be on social media?
shouldn't it be some kind of balance? You should respect the other person's boundaries. When it comes to your relationships, if you know that that person isn't into social media, should you make them feel compelled to boast about your relationship online? Should you make them that way if that's not their thing?
I think you got to set limitations because
Yeah.
you have to have that conversation. And again, it's I always say it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
You just be honest and say, look, that social media thing is your thing, just keep, my stuff private, or
Right,
or
yeah.
ask and be like for me, I don't do religion, politics, or relationships. I
Okay.
just do positivity, or a joke.
Yeah,
or
you
anything.
always have a joke, and I
Right,
be
right.
like, oh Lord, he
Right.
must have had his medicine today.
but you have to set limitations.
Yeah.
You can't, you can't always definitely. You have to have that conversation with that person, and like I said, if she wants to brag about you, you just need to reassure her as a man, and have her brag about you in different ways, because, she has to respect your wishes.
Right.
Now, can that be a deal breaker?
Can it be it can be, because if they're not staying within the confines of what you're comfortable with, because it may not be an immediate deal breaker. It depends, but if it's going to cause issues.
It's going to cause issues.
And then when you don't deal with issues head on, you sweep it on the rug, then resentment kicks in.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you mad at little things and
that doesn't have anything to do with, yeah.
And like I said, you got to communicate that. And if she, she likes you enough or loves you enough or whatever, she needs to respect that, or he needs to respect that.
I believe there has to be some sort of equality. So like I don't
commandments, man. I'm telling you.
I'm going to have to.
You're going to have to do it, yeah.
Because there are so many rules. Like I
and you're
believe
the
in
expert.
rules. See, like, because I've been through enough.
I know.
So it's like
that's why I say you're the expert.
For example, I have. I'm not a big picture taker. I don't like taking pictures.
I know. Like I have to twist your arm to get you to take a picture.
Yes. Any picture you see of me is because somebody snapped it or snuck it.
Yeah.
Or
I
my
know
mama
that's not
forced
your
me to
thing,
do that.
though.
I just
Yeah.
don't do that.
Right.
Now, dealing with somebody that takes pictures every 10 minutes, so why don't you ever want to show a picture online? Why are you hiding something? You know what I mean? It's like, who wants to? It's not a point of hiding. It's like some people just don't like to be online all the time.
Yeah.
But see, then my solution is like, all right, I'm not going to look at your stuff. Don't look at my stuff.
Right.
Because, if you're dealing with someone, inevitably, it doesn't matter if you say you're in a relationship, and I can't stand that relationship status on there also. That's a whole nother story. But inevitably, you're going to have some people or so-called friends who are going to be making suggestions, statements, advances that aren't.
Like, why don't you all take pictures together? How come I never see pictures of you and him out? And that pressure then comes towards you.
Like, yeah, why don't you? But see,
exactly.
my thing is, I had a situation one time where there was a certain person who would always make these just really heavy flirting.
Okay.
And I'm like, you should probably check that. Oh, it's nothing. Now, however, when it was on my end, you would have thought, I went out and did a movie with this one. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Where that's where I say, all right, look, if you say it's nothing, okay, it's nothing. But again, there has to be, an equivalency, and just, I'll say, don't look at, if you're in a relationship, don't go looking at that other person's social media, because you're going to see something you don't like.
Exactly, and I think if you're dating somebody, I honestly think it would be hard to have a successful relationship if the two of you are friends on Facebook.
Exactly.
Well, look at it this way. How did you meet that person? The person that you're in a relationship. Did it start out with flirting? Did it start out with a DM or something like that? And then she probably sees the same tendency from somebody else, and in the back of their mind, whether or not they want to.
That's how I got him. So somebody else might be doing the
same thing. Yeah.
That's true.
That's a good point.
But again, it's if somebody else is flirting with you, it's like if you are that adamant about it, you need to check that situation out of respect to your mate.
Right.
If it makes your other half uncomfortable, then you have to tell that person stop, or you have to unfriend them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you can't continue to allow certain things to nudge into your relationship.
Because then, if you don't, it's kind of like you're encouraging it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are. It's funny. I think if I think about dating nowadays, I don't think I could do it. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I hear your stories, some of yours, some of Nate's. It's like, is this what we come to? You know, I mean.
So what is it that you don't like about dating in the 20s?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't dated in like
well, from your
damn near
observations.
30 years. So
From your observation.
I think that it seems to me that a lot of people aren't who they present, for one. Number two, there are a lot of people with issues. And I mean issues to the point where they probably don't realize it. I think that there's a lot of game playing. I didn't really have to deal with that when I was dating. So it just seems like a lot has changed. Maybe some of it is because of the, technology.
Filters.
Yeah, exactly. But I think when I was dating, it, kind of, to me, it seemed like everything, you got what you saw.
Yeah, what you say is what you get, but not
Exactly.
online.
Not now. It's like it gives people a whole new realm to work with or to create this person that they are not. And for me, I wouldn't be able to deal with that.
Yes, there is a lack of authenticity on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it only could go so far. I mean, you only could hide it for so long.
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
when you get into a relationship and then things ain't what it seems, because I'm always playing devil's advocate here. I'm trying to think about the other perspective. Because let's say you're in a club or you're in a bar or you in wherever you meet that person, you still got that courtship period.
Yeah.
And then after a while it'd be like, okay, you presented yourself this way. And I guess social media allows us to do that for a longer period of time.
It allows you to be this other persona.
But as it evolves, though, you can't hide that.
You can't hide, but they can drag it on for a long time. And that's why I say if I had to be out there, I wouldn't be able to do it. I think for me, being in a relationship for a long time, if I had to go out there, I could be content to be by myself. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, when I hear everybody else's stories, I'm like, there's no way in hell I want to get to know someone else.
Yeah.
And I know that some people go out and, they've been in relationships for a long time and they can meet other people. I just don't think that I can. I think I can find other things to keep myself occupied. Now, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have a boy toy. Now, let's clear that up now. I would have that, but as far as dating, it's not.
You talking about,
I wouldn't be able to emotionally attach to someone. So it's different. It's so much different now. I got to read some of these comments. Anetta says that it's a mask for those with esteem issues trying to say it's for the haters. And what she say? I said you can be social media friends with your mate, but it has to be an understanding and mature. And that's a great point, Arnetta. Hey Jason, how you doing? I think there would have to be boundaries. Were you and your wife Facebook friends?
We were, and then I didn't even know we wasn't when we split up. So I was just like, damn. But yeah, we was. And if something came about, whereas though it got technical as far as us beefing, it'd be like, well, you ain't like that, what you post. And I was just like, wow. I didn't think that my post was directed anything towards you. So what are you talking about?
But that's another thing. If you all are friends and you post something, it could be about a totally different situation, but it would be taken out of context.
And I ain't know people get it like that because I was just like, I'm new to it, so I don't know what's wrong. What? Yeah. I just thought I was just posting and not trying to be funny. Like I ain't directing nothing at nobody. I'm just this shit was funny.
Yeah.
But that person take it as, no, that was directed at me. And you like, yo, it's because we beefing? This shit ain't for you? Because then that means everybody would know that we beefing.
Exactly.
Come on.
Which is why I would think it would be so difficult, to maintain a friendship. So, are your wife on Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you all have a different.
But my public, I mean, my Facebook ain't private, so
Right.
it's like, so she's on there, and like I said, I don't post anything.
Yeah, you post about your music and stuff like that.
I don't do, even when people on my page and they do crazy stuff, I delete, because I don't do religion, politics, or relationships.
Yeah.
And like I said, I know back in the early days of Facebook, where I had to learn how to do, how to deal with issues. Because I had people reach out to me. I had people reach out to me because they was trying to reach somebody else. And they doing it through Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm like, but you're posting it on my page.
Yeah, see.
So it's that's what I said. You have to be. It's a maturity. There's a respect level, and
Right.
you have to filter, because again, it'll defeat the purpose, and the squeeze ain't gonna be worth the juice.
Yeah, and it's like, even with people that post provocative pictures and all.
Well, for attention, I mean, if that's what they want,
Yeah,
it's
but
the
then you can't be mad if you get a whole bunch of inboxes.
Exactly.
Because of it, because it's the energy that you're putting out.
Yeah.
I know for me, I can honestly say that I've never had anybody actually inbox me dick pics or anything like that. That's not the energy that I put out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if you put yourself out in a certain way, the end result, and I'm not saying that justifies somebody doing that, but if that's what you're promoting, you're going to get that right back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it goes back to what you're putting out there. On my page, I post a lot of motivational quotes or stuff about the show, family pictures and stuff like that. So I'm not asking for a certain kind of attention, because I don't need that from Facebook or from Instagram. So, yeah, I think that, using it for different purposes, I think that if you use it to promote sexuality, that's what you're going to get.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what you're gonna get. I mean, some people do it for attention. Some people do it. What's that hashtag? Used to be thirst trap.
Yeah. Now, Arnetta says I'm guilty of that. Is that post about me?
If the post fits.
You must have quit. So, yeah, but I think that you're not the only one. I think it's a lot of people that actually, think like that. They see something, and it could be a conversation that you just had with someone, and they post.
It is about you then.
It is about you, exactly.
Petty
But
subliminals jumping on the line.
it's a lot of subliminals.
See, but social media allows a lot of people to become philosophers. And,
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you say what you say?
Oh, the fake, the pseudo intellectual people on there want to sit there and philosophize on the most ridiculous ass nonsense.
Oh God!
Everybody's an expert on everything.
Of course they are, because I think ultimately it is a way of getting attention.
But it's putting up what you say, putting up that fake.
That fake,
Yeah,
where
you
somebody
see.
would look and say, "Oh, she's pretty deep," or "He's pretty deep," and clearly they're not.
Right.
Once you start having a conversation with them, and you're like, he's a freaking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's a freaking idiot. So, yeah, like Jason says, it's gift and the curse dealing with social media. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You start off a post like, Facebook friends, I need to talk to y'all about a question.
Oh, Jesus.
And when I see posts like that, I instantly get annoyed. I'm like, you're putting that question on social media. How about you get a fucking life?
Mm-hmm.
first. Yes.
Yeah.
See that I can't date that person.
See, exactly. Because if you got to go to your
date that
social
person.
media network for advice on relationships or whatever you're going through,
Mm-hmm.
you need help.
If
You said you refuse?
I refuse.
Don't matter how they look.
And I be damned. I'm not doing it because you know what?
Even if she tongue kiss your feet,
Nothing.
I'm just saying.
Nothing. Nice try.
That's an inside.
Nice try.
Yeah.
It's like if we have a conversation and it's like getting a second opinion from the doctor or something. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
feel like you have to go to your virtual friends
Mm-hmm.
to get validation after we've already settled an issue,
Yeah.
I can't deal with you.
Yeah.
I don't have my issues on no social media. No
Exactly.
issues
You know,
Exactly.
especially when you're blatantly trying to, you're telling people, in a subversive way, not so subversive way. Well, this is what I'm doing.
You're just outright saying,
Yeah,
this
I'm
is
like,
what's
come
going
on,
on
you
with
can-
us.
And that is funny. Social media preachers and Insta bishops.
Which is true. I mean, it's the truth.
Oh, that's
It's the truth. Everybody's a expert on social media, and then you start to date them, and you're like, she has no personality. He has no personality,
or they have some really good filters on their phone.
yeah.
But too, if you think about it and you look at people's posts and you judge them off of that most of the time people look at somebody and they just want to fuck with them anyway. Them posts don't mean nothing until they get to know them and they start looking at their posts and it's like, I didn't know you thought like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes an issue, but beforehand, everything is visual.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing you, and I didn't know you were that attractive until I started seeing you. Now I'm seeing you a lot. I like you, but then when the post you start reading, and you like, that's why we shouldn't be friends on Facebook because you don't need to see the shit.
Exactly,
Because I may be a little
exactly.
crazy, and you don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me have my crazy,
There you
because I
go.
don't want you in all my shit.
Not
Yeah.
at all.
My shit that we have, you good with that. You
That's
don't need to
separate.
see more than
Yeah, that's separate.
Some things just need to stay on Facebook.
It
Right.
does.
If we're
It
with that,
does.
let's
stay
right
I
there.
think people get the lines crossed. They want to bring it into their relationship. So
So even though it's a Facebook or Instagram, it's still the attraction's still visual, right?
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Of course,
that doesn't
because
change.
it's a enhanced version of themselves.
Right. So from a female perspective, would you say the same thing? Is it visual or do the brothers need to go on Facebook and start philosophizing and talk about how deep they are for them to be
And,
for y'all to be attracted
Well,
to
if you
them?
start
Like
asking
some
them
poetry.
questions and they can't back up what they post, it's kind of like I can't have a conversation with them because what they're posting is bullshit because they can't back it up.
Well, Google said
I
it
think
was
that,
cute.
yeah, well, exactly, because a lot of people rely on that. I think the thing that I know about him,
Oh,
when he
snap.
posts, he does, damn. He does his research a lot of times when he's posting. But then I wonder how many people actually post and don't.
But see, that's the thing. You could do your research. You could do your stuff on the internet, but it's how you interpret it.
It's how you interpret it,
You know.
but if, let's say, I'm just using Dr. Love as an example. He calls himself Dr. Love and he's posting all this stuff about love. And we go to have a deep conversation about love, and then I realize he's inexperienced. What the hell are you posting all of this love shit for, and you can't talk about it?
I believe everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Of course.
Yeah.
But just be ready to, be called to task. when someone
Exactly.
checks you on.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you purport to be an expert,
Right.
understand someone's going to check that.
Right, because we live in that age where, we have all this information at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone asks a question, you should be able to answer that question based on what you're claiming to be.
See, people don't have opinions anymore. I mean, they have opinions, but they don't have facts, and they don't feel they need them. It's like people just
Yeah.
talk a lot of times
Yeah,
without,
because it sounds good.
yeah, they might.
Yeah.
A lot of times, people will talk with not having any sort of opinion about it. They're
Yeah.
just chiming in.
And people are sold on what sounds good. It doesn't have to be facts behind it. It just sounds good. So,
Like
you know,
that.
people can be anything that they want if there's no fact checker.
But that's like how we look at people that's in prominent speaking roles. We thinking that they know shit and they don't know shit, but they got those positions. So we looking at it like, well, he sounds like he's an expert.
And he's saying it with conviction.
Yeah, but then
Exactly.
we looking at it like, okay, now they're exposing and stuff. We're like, well, we've been dealing with this for so long. This guy been good though. Everything, but and they'll be, oh, this is the speaker such and such, and you're like, well, they got positions and they've been doing it, but they not who they say they were. But the whole time we bought into it because when we watch television, everybody is who they say they are on television.
When we're sold on presentation.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Exactly.
We'll go into it and be like,
Exactly.
I don't know
What
this.
our sound effects at?
I don't know this person.
Oranges can't be peaches, and peaches can't be oranges. Like, man, that's
Like,
deep.
that's some profound shit right there.
Ain't it? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, indeed. Yes,
Oranges can't be
indeed.
peaches.
He could be the president with that
Peaches
type of
can't be
talk.
orange.
Okay.
We have an orange for a president. Or is he Steve?
Are we ready for a break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take us in.
So we're gonna go on break. And let's see if there's any more. Hey Penny. Oh, let me read Jason's comment while you're setting up. Jason says, or to see a beautiful girl, then they make the post when they start talking out loud, then you be like, damn, inside she dirty. Oh, that's cold.
You know what? I'm this is one of my petty things, but
You're petty?
there are a few things that can peeve me that might not peeve other people.
Okay.
So you can take it as
Okay.
yeah. And I'm proud of it.
Well, I say I'm petty all the time.
You know,
I own mine.
I own. I'm a
Yeah.
whole ass myself, so
Yeah,
it's
see.
all good. I work at it. I have a complete aversion. I won't say that I can't stand it. I hate it. That's how I really feel, but I'm gonna say it.
Okay, okay.
When people code text and they don't know how to write in normal English, and everything is like partial words and shortened text words.
I can't stand that.
Can't deal
Oh my God. I'm like, are we adults or what? I can't stand it.
I don't care how beautiful a woman is.
See,
If our conversation and our communications are like that, I'm out.
yeah.
I'm out. I can't. I'm looking at you like, what? You.
Is that I'm not going to say it's a deal breaker, but I
It
don't
is for
like
me.
it.
It
It's
is
so
for me.
annoying.
It
It's
is
like,
completely a deal
can't
breaker.
we effectively communicate without,
I can't do it.
yeah, well.
I can't do it. I can't. It's such
You're
a turn
technical,
off.
though.
I mean,
You're a
you
very
know what?
technical person.
There are technical things. Yeah, I have to be technical in some areas. But
Yeah.
I feel strongly about certain things.
Okay.
And that's one of those, it's like, we have to be able to, even like bad spelling. When you're like, you can't conjugate a verb like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That irritates me.
Well, I think,
You
when
don't have to be an English major.
Let me
but-
tell you one thing that annoys me if we're talking about this now. It's not so much the bad spelling. I mean, I think when a grown-up says K, that fucking pisses me off.
Or a guy.
A guy,
Yeah.
K. What the hell do you mean K? Because I think that we're too old for that. That annoys me.
I reject that.
That annoys me.
And the thing about OK is already an abbreviation. What do you want to abbreviate an abbreviation?
Exactly. So Arnetta says, before Sean, I met some beautiful, ugly people. Ugly because they're social media persona. I think that's funny. Hey, Ronnie. Nate says, they hooked on phonics.
Yes, they are.
So we're going to go on break. And when I come back, you can join me over at Instagram at Queen_Jackie A. I will be streaming live for the rest of the night from Instagram.
You got the lady downstairs?
She's gone, should be, right?
I don't know. I'll check. Let me.
I ain't gonna play too late.
Okay. Why?
Encore.
We want more.
If I had some panties, I'd throw them up there.
She said if she had some. Okay.
Give me the extra pan.
Oh,
Dang,
see,
nigga.
yeah. Oh,
See? You scandalous. You scandalous.
Hey.
Hey, woohoo!
Hey.
Encore! Throw the panties, Mark.
Hey. It'd be somebody else's. I know you throw some, but you don't wear them, so it's all good.
Oh,
Right.
scandalous. Shots fired.
Shots
bang,
fired.
bang, bang. Woo! So, wait a minute. I need some stability here. It's falling.
Uh-oh.
Can you tighten that up for me?
Let me get in here real quick. We're gonna get you. You can talk on it.
Okay, yeah, well, while we're tightening things up, hello, Instagram. This is the second half of the show, And hi, Kathy. Who else do I have on here? Little 6044, Girl on Fire. Hi, DJ Jason. Hey, Fred. I thank you all for tuning in. And what we were talking about, for those of you joining us, the technology age. That being, are we spending more? Thank you. Are we spending more time holding our electronic devices, or touching our devices more than we're touching one another? And most of us seem to spend a lot of time sending text messages. My question was, can you build a solid foundation via text? The guys, since I think I'm the oldest one, in the group, the guys actually hit me to a few things. So I guess text is the way things are nowadays. I think that, Mark, I think it would be a great idea if you come up with your 10 commandments of text messaging. I know a lot of us, probably because of the type of work we do, you might not have a chance to actually talk on the phone. So text messaging is probably a more effective way of communicating. But how solid of a foundation can you build if that's your main source of communication? So that's just the question I'm putting out there to Instagram, since I'm streaming live for the second half of the show. Another topic that we probably won't get a chance to go into tonight, or not too much. For people that have been in relationships for a long time, I like that, Jason, the elder spokeswoman. I'll take that. I'll take that. Somebody said to me on the post that I did about a week ago, I said that sometimes you have to love yourself enough to walk away from anything that causes you stress, be it a relationship, a job situation, or whatever the case may be. When it causes you stress to the point that you are becoming physically ill, or mentally ill, I think that you should love yourself enough to walk away from it. Well, someone commented on their post, on my post, and said that statement was kind of an unrealistic statement because everything causes stress. I think they missed my point. My point was, anything that causes you stress to the point that makes you sick, you have to love yourself enough to walk away from it. What was said to me was, I guess people that have been married 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they managed to stick it out. But what I'm finding now in my research, a lot of those people that have been together for a long time have been unhappy, and they stayed together because that was what they knew. They stayed together because they were afraid to go outside of their relationship, and they had become complacent. Does that make them happy because they stayed? Absolutely not. They just stayed because of comfort. Oh, we can move that. So I like to hear the guy's opinion on that. I'm going to start with you first, Quiet Storm. Well, he has to get situated. But I know both sides of the equation. I'll say that I know people that have been married a long time and they're very happy. I also know a few people that stayed because of the time that they have vested, and they may not want to start over with someone else. I can certainly understand that. But do you have peace of mind in those situations? Are you that complacent that you are afraid to step outside that box and continue to live unhappy?
Well, I think I think in some certain situations, if you in a relationship a long time, it defines you.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of courage to step out of your comfort zone and try something new. And when it comes to relationship, jobs, or anything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the nature. it's really within our nature to kind of just stay
Because it's
comfortable.
become comfortable. Yeah.
But it I don't judge, because like if it's a situation where they're in a bad situation and they want to stay and they elect to stay because they will be happier or they're trying to work it out, I don't judge that, because you have to live with that decision. But
Yeah.
if it is something that's unhealthy for you, I think you really need to examine, look deep, and try to move forward.
Yeah. I think that coming up in our society, I'll just say with our community, you are taught that marriage is kind of the end all be all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's not working, and you still, you're working on it, I think that we're taught that we shouldn't leave that relationship. I know a lot of times as women, and I used to hear older people say this, if the man stepped out, oh, he's just being a man. Does it make it acceptable?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly. So I think that we were taught unhealthy relationship habits. I think that when we see certain things coming up and we hear the older ones say a man is going to be a man or it's okay, I think that sends the wrong message to us, and you grow up thinking that this is how relationships are supposed to be. I think you grow up thinking that you're supposed to stick it out, especially if you grew up in the church. They shied away from divorce, or you had that mother who might have had 2 or more children and couldn't leave because the man was the breadwinner.
Yeah. But I think nowadays it's not when a woman is single. It's not a stigma attached to it.
Not now because of the day and age that we live in. And some people are happy being single. And it used to be back in the day when a woman was single, she was judged.
Yeah.
But that was her choice. I think she was judged because a lot of people couldn't understand how could she be happy without companionship. Men, you all are not judged by that same standard.
It's a man's world, and the judgment is coming from men.
Exactly, which goes to the point that I made a few weeks ago about women being comfortable in their sexuality, but they're labeled as promiscuous or being whores. But we live in a male-driven society.
Well, men can be whores, but women
Exactly.
Men
So
made the rules.
right, yeah. So of course they are looked at a certain way, but I had to put that question out there because you've been married quite some time, or you was, and so I don't know how much you can actually talk about that, but for you, without giving too much information, what was it for you? Why did you leave?
Because it's things that I expected and the things that I wanted, and I basically laid it out. Like, this is what I expect. Because the one thing, the give and take is supposed to go both ways. And if we're going to be doing this, the sacrificing and everything, then we got to be all the way in. And it wasn't that. And I was like, look, it's got to be this way, not being unfair. Like, because if it's going to work, we got to be 100 with each other, because it's a business. And if you're my partner and I don't know some stuff going on that can jeopardize this whole business, we could be in some real shit later on. And that's how I took it. And I was just like, you can't even be honest about it. That's something small, but it's detailed. Because, what the thing was the tax thing. And it was just like, you're not being honest about it. And it was like the end of the year come, and I'm like, you made all your money. It's going to fall back on me. But we own something, it's not going to balance out if we either basically been honest all the way through, because money becomes a real big issue, and you don't want that to be like, yo, no, we got to be honest about this, because this is going to affect us later.
Yeah, a lot of young people don't realize that. And marriage ain't all about love.
It's not all about that, and I think that was one of the things. a few shows ago, I talked about financial intimacy. If you are going into these relationships and finances isn't a part of your conversation before you walk down that aisle, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because it isn't just sex, love, and let's hang out. We're married. I got this regular ass laying next to me. It's more to it than that.
I'm home, assume the position. No, it's not that.
Yeah, when that changes, it takes you to another level.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, because you brought up something that's really powerful when it comes to a lot of younger people in relationships should take heed as well. Finances, honesty, as well as intimacy. It's like three pillars.
Yeah.
If it's not more than that, but those are some of the pillars of a successful.
Yeah, you have to have these conversations.
Marriage,
you have to have it. I mean, I think that you can't go in it blind thinking that we'll be all right as long as we love one another. It takes more than love to make a relationship work. Even talking about a short-term goal, where do you see us as a couple in 2 years? Let's not talk 5. Let's talk 2 years. What are we coming into this relationship with? What are your expected goals? What are you looking to get out of this relationship? And people, even older people, are still not having these conversations.
Yeah. But even like 5 minutes ago, you brought up something that made me think. Let's say the love is gone. Okay. But the financial and everything else, the business end of the relationship or the marriage is still there. Sometimes that keeps people staying.
And it does. I have an older couple that I'm really good friends with, and they live in Florida. And one of the things she told me, the intimacy was gone, and their conversation was mainly about the kids.
Yeah.
The kids are all gone away to college.
Empty nest.
Yeah, and it took a while for them to
come back.
Yeah, they weren't able to have a conversation. All their conversations were about the children. So you know what they did? He suggested that they go out and buy motorcycles. That's what reconnected them. So they ride all over the country together. And she says that the marriage is better than it's ever been. So even if the physical intimacy is gone, if you all sit there and have a conversation with each other and kind of rediscover, find out some other things that you all are interested in, that y'all can share in that together, you can still make it work. But both parties have to be willing. And if it's not, it's just not going to work. So I think that when we enter into these relationships, I think you always have to think about the what if. If it doesn't work, what can we do to fix it? I need to turn it without falling. If you want to fix it, I think that you have to rediscover one another, especially when it's a case where everything was about the children.
Yeah.
And then the children are gone. Because I think that happens more often than not. I think that it's hard to reconnect because the kids are not there to bring you together. So, you have to, like in their case, they started riding around the country and traveling. So, like I said, she said it was stronger than it's ever been. So what do you do if you all have no other common interests?
You have to reconnect. You have to find it. You have to work it. But you have to both parties have to be willing, because people think there's a lot of misconceptions of marriage. People think, it's 50-50. No, probably
it is not.
Somebody's doing 60%.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be doing 40%. She might be doing 60%.
Okay.
It's never always 50-50.
Right.
That's one thing. But it's it kind of reminded me of this movie that I watched like years ago. It was a Chris Rock movie. I Think I Love My Wife.
Yeah, that was a pretty good movie.
Man, it was like he was preaching the truth. I mean, it was this one scene where he said, before you got married, the conversations was like, and he had his wife up there. She said, "I can't wait for you to come home and so I can suck your dick, right?" But when you get married, it's like, "I can't wait for you to come home so we could see what color we need to paint the room." You know, so
The conversation changes.
The conversation
Yeah.
changes, and, when
And
you
I
have
think we
kids-
don't realize we get into that rut where it no longer becomes about us,
Yes.
and it becomes about everything else in
Yes.
between. And then you are so far apart from one another. And a lot of times people don't know how to bounce back from that. But it still goes back to being able to communicate with one another.
Yeah. So that couple that you brought up, right? Does
Mm-hmm.
that so they kids grown, they got the empty nest, and they don't have nothing else to talk about, and they were forced to talk to one another. So
Mm-hmm.
they ended up going out and getting motorcycles. So what, that's the act. But what really happened? What really happened there? They spent more time together. They had a common interest, or what really sparked that?
He asked her, he said, well, we could go out and buy motorcycles. It was a joke. And she said, yeah, we could. Because she was thinking he was joking. And they did that. But not only did they do that, they bought a house and they started breeding horses as well. Now, horses was what she loved. So, it's funny, after all that time, I don't think he ever knew that. So, but they made, and that's the thing, they were willing to find other things to reconnect because, she said for months, they didn't have anything to say to one another. They didn't know how to. And she said that she wasn't going to live like that.
I'm thinking, me devil's advocate, maybe the horses replaced its kids.
Could be. It's a pretty lucrative business.
Okay.
Breeding and then having people come and rent their stables. That's so it bonded them. Still, the physical isn't really there, but she's having the time of her life. So you can do it, but it takes two people. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. You can say, let's work on this and let's work on that, but if one person is only willing to put the work in, it's kind of like a moot point.
Yeah.
Mr. Sensational? Oh. Because I know you've been married before.
Oh. Yes.
And so for couples that have been in relationships for a long time, and they stay
happy
for...
birthday today too. It's an ex-wife's birthday today, so happy birthday.
Okay.
9/11.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. So, do you think that couples that have been married a long time, that really caught me off guard, but we're just going to bypass that anyway. So,
some jokes just set themselves.
So,
up.
I'm just saying it was like, woo. So,
we're cool.
But couples that have been together for a long time, do you think that a lot of those relationships are healthy, or do you think that they stay together because it's comfortable?
I would hope that it's they want to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad day when you have to be together just because of.
But there are a lot of couples that live like that.
I say it's comfort.
It is yeah.
I because, like I said, when you first dating somebody, when you first met her, you get the goosebumps, you get the butterflies,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't eat, can't sleep. That can't be life because you're gonna get a heart attack. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
You always say that.
but it becomes a comfortable kind of
Mm-hmm.
love where you see two old people sitting there, and they're just comfortable being with each other, holding hands. It's a different love over the course of years. We're talking long-term relations, long-term marriages. Takes different forms.
Yeah.
It's not, and a lot of, and it mostly comes from women. I must say, a lot of women always want the butterfly. They want to be romanced. They want this. They want the out there. You hear that coming from women more. I want that fire. Do the same
wrong
thing.
with that?
I didn't say anything wrong. It didn't say anything wrong, but it's like if that's what the woman wants them as a man. If I love you, I'm gonna have to give that.
Absolutely.
Give it to her,
Absolutely.
but for the man, it may not be the same, perspective. You don't hear that coming from men all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so women are more emotional when it comes to relationships. So I think but you have to understand it in context. Just because he's not doing the same things he did when he was courting
20 years ago.
Courting you doesn't mean he doesn't love you any less.
But wouldn't you say after a period of time, because we are looking to be romanced and it's not like all the time, wouldn't you say that he would have to evolve too and become more present in the relationship?
You have to, yeah, you do. Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to change, but you have to change with the other person in mind too.
Right,
because
yeah.
you, like I said, 20 years ago, I'm not the same dude.
Right.
I'm a different dude. I'm pretty much around the same, but as far as my mentality, I did change.
It's changed,
I changed a little bit, and hopefully, in these, you guys, couples can move along the same path,
Right.
But like I said, it's sometimes it's comfort. It eventually becomes comfortable.
It does.
But if you want that romance, because even the couple that you brought up, she still ain't get what she wants. She really wants that intimacy.
She wants it.
She ain't get it yet.
But they bonded on other things, and I think for her that's enough because for quite some time they weren't talking.
Yeah, it's gotten better. Yeah.
It's gotten better, yeah. But then that's two people that are willing to work on it together.
Right, and she's willing to compromise.
Exactly.
And if she was an all or nothing person, it wouldn't have been.
They wouldn't have been at the point that they are now.
That's why I said I think sometimes it might be 60-40.
Right.
Yeah.
It ain't always 50-50. Meet
It's
me halfway. Somebody, maybe both parties need to meet. I put in 60%, you put in 60%.
Right.
I think it takes turns. I think sometimes it's the guy that may be giving 60 and we're giving 40. And later on down the line, I think it changes. I think over time, it goes back and forth. I would probably say a lot of times us as women, we're probably given more overall. And the reason I say that is because we go to work, we come home, we're taking care of the house. You all go to work, you come home, and a lot of times that might pretty much be it. You know what I'm saying? We're taking care of the kids, the house, making sure you have what you need. I think sometimes we lose ourselves in the relationship and all the responsibilities that come along with it. And I think that's why we begin to feel like we're taken for granted. We're not getting romance. And I think that it happens over time. Nobody probably sees it coming, but it happens.
Yeah. And then the resentment kicks in.
The resentment kicks in. And, you might actually try to articulate this, and it could come across as we're whining. So, which is an interesting question, because why, when us as women are communicating, why do men look at it as if we're whining?
Because that why is coming. Well, you know what I mean? It's all coming, but it's a lot of W's. Well, why you don't do this and why you don't? So why?
And then
But I mean,
you're expressing yourself, but at the same time, it's a lot. So when it's coming, it's like a gun.
It's a lot because we held it inside.
Yeah.
And so when we open that floodgate, you're going to get all of it because that's how we're feeling. Of course, we shouldn't have let it build up.
That becomes a problem.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you. We should not have let it build up. But don't say when we're bringing it to you, you're whining.
Because we need to empathize and we need to hear.
Here I go.
Here I go. Y'all don't want us to solve it. You want us to, before we solve it, we need to hear your pain.
You have to hear, I am woman, hear me roar. You know what I'm saying?
A show about relationship bullies.
I'm not a relationship bully,
You are
but first of all, I'm pretty good at effectively
put your stuff away. Here
communicating
come Debo.
my feelings.
Here come Debo.
You know what I'm saying? Emotionally
But-
deboing people.
It's not bullying, it's just, stating a fact.
The
I'm
fact
saying
is,
that
I
a lot
want
of
mine
women
right
let
now.
stuff build up. I'm not that woman. Before it gets to that point, I'm going to say, how come this isn't happening?
Good,
Or
yeah.
why can't we? Because I can't be stressed the hell out. Whatever's on my mind at that moment, I got to get it out, Otherwise, I'll be walking around here with high blood pressure and everything like that. So I'm very expressive. So, no, Monk, you can't take a goddamn shower. You got to hear me right now.
There's a what? When you want it. I know.
That's
I know.
right. That's right.
It's either going to be happy wifey, happy lifey, happy girl, happy world.
Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, you said because it's why. But, if you were in tune with us, then you wouldn't have to hear why.
But it shouldn't have had to come to a point where you held it in that long. It should have been, those whys should have been coming along the way when it started slacking. Like, 2 weeks ago we did this X, Y, Z. So, don't think just because that was 2 weeks ago, and I get it, you tired, you work, blah, blah, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
But don't get lazy with it because we having fun. So don't forget that. You know what I mean? But it's the communication. It's got to go both ways because
True.
he could be going through something.
Mm-hmm.
We never know what each other's going on because sometimes like you're holding in the why you didn't do this, and he's holding it in too. Like,
Right.
yo, I'm going through something.
I'm going to call you out because you said if he was in tune with you, you would do. Well, what about you being in tune with him?
She's a bully.
What? I said don't make me laugh because I'll be coughing up in here.
See, it's her ball, so it's her game.
It's not. No, I'm not a bully.
Because I say that because of sometimes y'all put expectations.
We put, why we put expectations? I think
demands.
because we carry so much,
Okay.
and I think that we start to feel like we're not being appreciated, and we don't know how. A lot of times we're so caught up in our feelings that we don't know how to always get it out without it not coming as if we're just bitching about everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you can only carry what you have arms for.
I'm not saying me because I get mine out.
No doubt there.
I'm just saying in general because I know a lot of women that hold it in. And then they hold it in to a point where it becomes like a volcano. And then it doesn't come across right because it seems like you're being argumentative. I think that if we can sit down and talk and not me having to wait until you go get a bed and get a damn shower, then it won't build up. I'm not petty though. Then it won't build up. So, why all of y'all turned y'all heads? It won't build up like that. It's like we can talk about it and how can we fix it.
Petty LaBelle.
So I own it.
Petty white.
I own it. I might be just a little bit petty. Just
Peppermint
a
Teddy.
tad bit.
Oh wow, I like that one.
Peppermint
shade,
Petty. Ooh,
shade.
that's a good one.
Am I petty, Mike?
Yeah, you are. But you already know that.
Yeah. Well,
Queen.
Queen Petty. Queen Petty. But do you think
She's
it's
a queen.
complaining when the woman comes to you with a problem?
No, it's not complaining. It's but if it's a constant forcing on your time and not our time,
We're back
then
to
there's
that.
an issue. You opened the door. I just walked in.
I didn't mean to open the
Yes,
door.
you
I'm
did,
just
'cause you're
saying
petty.
because that's going to be an ongoing issue with us. I already know it. But if I come to you and say I'm not happy, what's going to be your response?
Why do you feel that you're unhappy?
Because I feel like I'm taken for granted. You haven't dated me in a long time. What can we do about it?
Well, what can we do about it? What would you like to see change?
I'd like for you to take me out on a date.
Well, first you have to stop dating that other guy right
Well, the other guy takes me out on a date.
now. Oh, then you don't have a problem then. You're like,
But I want my guy to take me out on a date. So now what? What can we do about it? How
better.
can we we've gotten to a point that we don't do anything. So, and I think it's easy for couples to fall into that. So, what would your response be to that?
My response would be to analyze where this point came from.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of times you don't see it coming. I think you get comfortable and feel like everything is okay because it's not being communicated. Everything's fine, you know.
There's a give and take to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there's life issues come into effect. It's because of work schedules. Is it because of a problem with the intimacy?
Mm-hmm.
There are just, is it money? Family problems? Has there been a traumatic event that happened at some point? There's a litany of things that could be the cause of it. It's just getting to the root of that, because this just didn't happen.
Right, which is true.
So where was that base point where everything started to go to the left?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and after having conversations like this with other women, I think a lot of times it's us that feels like we are taken for granted.
It defined that?
I mean, with everything that we do as far as taking care of the household bills, the household chores, raising the children, I hear a lot of married women say, I've lost myself in this relationship. And I'm sure you all have heard that too.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
That happens
So
a lot.
you're saying the guy doesn't pay any bills, or what does the guy do?
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the women are running the households. He go out and makes the money, but, she's running the household. Whatever the house needs, she goes out and buy, because in some cases she might be an at-home mom or whatever the case may be. But I hear women say this often.
Yeah. See, whether it's true or not, what I've learned, because I know better now, and what I've learned is whether or not it's true or not, you feel as though you running the household, you doing more than your share. I still have to acknowledge your feeling. I still have to acknowledge that.
Right.
Because and when you said, okay, I don't feel, when you were posing the question to him, he's like, I don't feel that I'm being romanced. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. That's good if you want me to solve the issue. However, what I would have liked to hear is like, okay, what would you like for me to do for you? You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes it does come across, because you think it from your perspective.
Right.
And it just comes across, I want, okay, your issue, your version of working this out is you to give me all this stuff.
So you've made the man the problem immediately.
Right.
So what will happen if the man just says, okay, I'm gonna just do what she wants me to do, then you transferring that resentment to him, because he's like, okay, she wants this, she wants that, but you didn't find out what you could do from your side.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what, it's good to have those conversations, but you have to have them in a healthy way, in a sense where you have to, you gotta listen to both sides. Whether or not you agree with it or don't agree, it's not for you to agree. You just have to listen.
That's it. That's it.
And just hear her perspective.
And don't look at it like, it's whining. I'm coming to you because we can fix it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times maybe the way that it's brought to you may not be received well. But again, it goes back to the woman letting it build.
And then if he starts, and if he does your task that you ask, and he's not enthused about it, then you feel a certain way.
And you're pissed off.
Yeah, you're like, I want you to want to do this.
Yeah. Exactly. Don't do it so I can shut the hell up.
Well, but if you present it that way, I want, you know what I mean? But if you, like I said, we have to, and I'm just saying, we as people, because in a sit down like that, is they really good conversations, but you gotta have them in a way where you have to promote
a healthy outcome.
Yes, exactly, because it ain't just You know, you just tell me what you want. I could tell you what I want too, and we just go back and forth.
And
You
nothing ever gets
Right.
resolved.
See, I believe in getting to the root of the problem. The first problem, I think, is why did you have something build up? Why weren't you able, what was the environment where you weren't able to communicate your displeasure, and more recently?
Well,
You know,
that's a-
Because you wanted to come in the door and take a shower.
so you're throwing it back on the man.
I think that maybe a lot of times it may have been, you might have been tired when you came in, and I felt like it wasn't a good time to put that kind of pressure on you, so I'll wait. And then some of the anger isn't you, it's me too, because I allowed it to build. Yeah.
Because you always want to know what gave you that perspective. But,
Right.
But you want to, but really, to be honest, for real, don't matter. We here.
Yeah.
This where we at. Don't matter how we got there.
Right.
Okay. I love you. You love me. We want to make this work. Whatever I did in the past is in the past, and don't hold it against me.
And you brought up an interesting point a couple of weeks ago, being in the right frame of mind to receive information. Now, if I came at him and said, listen, I need you to take me out on a damn date. If his head isn't in that moment in my presentation, it's going to piss him off.
I'm going to say, okay, you got some money? We can go all day.
Yeah, well, that would be an asshole response.
Well, you already know what you're doing.
Right. I'm just saying. I would expect him to say that too. But, I mean, it all goes back to being able to communicate with one another in a way that's not confrontational.
Yeah.
Because it's the same way if you said, listen, you haven't cleaned this house up in a week. So what the hell do you do all day? I'm not, even though I'm wrong, but I'm still not going to receive it.
Yeah, you're not going to be enthused. To
Exactly.
do it.
Exactly.
See, there's fault on both ends, because if I waited a week to speak on it, then I'm walking around festering with something.
Exactly.
So you have to have a relationship where you can be open and honest with that person,
Right.
and not just turn a blind eye, knowing that that's going to come back later.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to nip that in the bud, because you really don't want to get to a situation where it's a road going too far.
Yeah, because then both parties are explosive.
Exactly.
And it's not healthy, and nothing gets resolved.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're sharing the same bed, but both of you are pissed off. Okay. So we went over our time tonight, and final thoughts, fellas. I'll let y'all.
All right. First, the topic we talked about earlier today about texting in a relationship. I think it could work. I think texting shouldn't be the only way that you communicate. But if you use it with other things, or you could, like I said, you like to write poetry, send me a poem via text, and use that to, in addition to the talking and the,
Right.
the physical face to face, but if that's the only, if we're using it as a shield, then it could be problematic.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Sensational, final thoughts?
I would say, respect each other, listen, play fair, and learn the other person's communication style.
Right.
Their communication style, their love style, the way that speaks to them the most.
Okay.
And once you do that, it will eliminate a lot of the problems.
True. Bud?
I'm just here as a guest. That's for y'all.
I know, but you
I don't have
You
one.
can drop
You
knowledge,
can
man.
drop knowledge,
Yeah, man,
yes.
give it up. Come on now.
You
I don't
came from
know.
a different perspective with the older, younger.
But the realization is everybody needs to communicate, and we need to all figure a way to do it, but we need to be more effective with one another. And a lot of times, with that situation, that was the age barrier was always going to be part of the bigger issue anyway, because a lot of times people don't think about that. They'll look at it in the beginning because they're only seeing the physical side until then they get to the point where as though like, are you trying to tell me how to, and you're like,
But does
I'm
it
not.
have to be?
Huh?
Does the age barrier have to be?
for some people, because you gotta think the older person may be in a different point in their life, and the younger person is in a different point in their life. So that's where the communication has to be open, so they can both meet each other in the middle. But a lot of times, either the older person be on their own thing, or the younger person, or both of them. You know, whereas though they can't, because they're not actually communicating. They're talking at each other, but not to each other. Whereas though they can both relate, because the texting you can relate. But you like, look, everything can't be texting. And it goes both ways. Well, look, I like to text a lot. So I'm text a lot. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
You know, but you still got to talk to me, too. So, you know, we got to meet each other.
Okay.
You know.
Yes.
You ain't even drunk. That's water.
I mean,
you done did a Judge Wagner with the vodka in the bottle.
No, I mean, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So my final thoughts, we had 2 great topics tonight, and we're over time, so I'm going to be brief. I appreciate the fellas' point of view on text messaging. Like I said, I'm old school, so I do text a lot, but sometimes I get frustrated and I want to talk on the phone. But I do understand it is a social, what did you call it? A social
Anxiety.
Social anxiety for some people. So I guess I need to get a bit more with the text age. And it was a great show, and I want to thank my guest, DJ _MB on Instagram. He didn't even get his own plug. The Quiet Storm and Mr. Sensational. I'm still waiting for Mr. Sensational. He's going to come up with a 10 commandments of text messaging, because clearly he taught me some things tonight that I did not know. So until next week.
He'll probably text it to you.
He's gonna text it to me. The 10 commandments of text messaging. I'm going to post it. It's been a great show, and I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We will be back next Monday, same time, same place. And for those of you that are members of the Facebook group, I will post the entire show in the Intimacy Chronicles group. Have a great night, and thanks for tuning in. Yeah. I learned some things, though.
Huh?
I really learned some things about texting.
Texting etiquette, yeah.
Texting etiquette. Who knew? Mark.
I just make it up as I go along.
No, you knew some
What's
stuff.
it called? What's it called? Manifesto.
Manifestos, yes.
Oh my God.
Texting manifesto. That's what you do.
It was good. It was a
If
great
I
show.
text you during, you got 8 hours.
Well, Mark, let me tell you, I don't text Mark. I inbox Mark, because it seems like the response is faster through inbox.
You know what? It will be, because I have less inboxes than I have text.
Okay.
Because it's just, you know, I got people hitting up for sessions, and
Right.
then it's like, I keep getting stuck in like chain messages, and I don't know.
I can't stand them.
I'm confused.
Like, who does that nowadays?
But if you don't share,
Send this to 10 people and all
Jesus.
that shit.
Jesus
We'll
ain't
smoke
gonna do this for you.
Jesus not gonna save you if you don't send it to 10 people.
Like Jesus sitting in heaven, like, you know what? I need 5 more likes.
Right, exactly.
I need 5 more likes.
Oh my God.
I'm always the one that's like, I gotta test Jesus out, because I'm not sending these out. Because I be thinking, like, why
Who
am I
does
getting this?
that? Yeah.
Come on, 5 more likes, and then you're gonna get your blessing, man.
Send this to 10 people and a miracle's gonna happen for you.
Like,
Well,
most of the
unless
people that
Jesus
sending
gonna
it,
drop $10 million at my door, that's the kind of miracle I'm looking for.
I'm not even needing a miracle. I'm just needing somebody to stop sending that
You
stuff.
see that meme? You see that meme? It had an Abraham Lincoln face, and it was like, it said, it said something like, just because you see it on the internet, it doesn't mean that it's
It doesn't mean what?
That it's valid, right? And it had quote Abraham Lincoln.
Oh my God. That
Yeah,
is
well,
hilarious.
Then they had one with Martin Luther King saying, one day millions of people are gonna misquote me on the internet. You know, instead of taking up social justice in their communities. Martin Luther King.
See?
Yeah, he really said that. It was online. So it had to be real.
Exactly.
I just said, yeah, it looks legit.
That is
All right,
funny.
Mark.
Oh
All
shit!
right,
I
sir.
forgot. Look, I'm standing here
You got to leave your stuff.
about to leave. My shit is still recording.
Uh huh.
What kind of bullshit is that?